Welcome back to Talk Horror to Me, the only movie review horror podcast that loves to go camping, but only if it's glamping. Before we bring on Carly and Brooke for this evening, let's check out what we're watching tonight. Tonight, we review The Cabin in the Woods. The Cabin in the Woods is a 2011-2012 science fiction comedy horror film directed by Drew Goddard in his directorial debut. Produced by Joss Whedon and written by Whedon and Goddard. It stars Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Anna Hutchison, Fran Kranz, Jesse Williams, Richard Jenkins, and Bradley Whitford. In The Cabin in the Woods, when 5 college friends arrive at a remote forest cabin for a little vacation, little do they expect the horrors that await them. One by one, they fall victim to backwoods zombies, but there is another factor at play. Two scientists are manipulating the ghoulish goings-on, and even as the body count rises, there is yet more at work than meets the eye. Oh yeah. Welcome back, Brooke and Carly. How are you tonight? Before we get started tonight, Carly has some sad news for us, so I will let you share it.
Okay. Ashley Greathouse, who's been with us for a very long time, has had to step back. She's got a lot going on in her life, which we understand, and we miss her dearly. She was just such an intricate part of our group. It's going to be hard tonight because I miss her already. Yeah. But we're going to keep going on in saying we love you, Ashley.
Yeah, we do.
We do. Absolutely love to Ashley. It's not like she's gone and forgotten. We will always
right.
We love her to death. But unfortunately, the show must go on because here we are, and Brooke and Carly are here along with myself, and we'll do the best we can. We'll muddle through, even though
yes,
here to carry us all on her back. So with that said. Hey, it was all about her coattails. That's all we did was ride on them. Okay, but with that said, who picked this film for this evening?
I did.
Oh, that's right, because you were in a phase about Chris Hemsworth that you never got over.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that was the reason I watched it the first time, and then the second time I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, what can I say? Chris Hemsworth.
That's all you can say, really.
And I'm really glad that I rewatched it. I had a lot of fun, but I'll get to that later. We'll start with Chuck.
What? I'm so not prepared. I'm trying to fix some chords off screen. Yeah, I love this film. I think I saw it in the theaters back in the day, back when, people went to the movies. And I think I did it just because I love horror, number one. And it really had this weird sense of like something different in horror. It was Joss Whedon. Mm-hmm. Joss was like super hard off, Buffy and, the first Avengers movie. So there was like a lot of like, ooh, I love him. I love Hemsworth. It seems like a cool idea. And it did not disappoint for me. On rewatch, it even further doesn't disappoint for me. And I think it's because it hits a very specific sub genre that almost never goes out of style, and you can enjoy it all the time. And I'll get into that later. But Brooke, what did you think?
Okay, I have a confession to make. So I hated this movie the first time around. I hated it. I would have given it a 1.5, and that was me being nice. the first time. But then after rewatching it, this is my second time watching the movie. So at the second time watching it, I loved it. I was like, oh my God, she picked a great pick. But everybody that loved this movie, I was like, that movie's terrible. Watching it again, I loved it.
You get it now.
Right, we're going to get into that in a second, but let's get back to Carly and what her thoughts are.
This movie, like, it hit on all the tropes, and it had, the stereotypical, but it was supposed to be stereotypical stuff, and from the creepy guy at the gas station to, going off and having your cheerleader or whore or whatever, and then your athlete, and then your smart guy, and your stoner, and your virgin.
She was like, wait, virgin?
Yeah, and that was a funny part. We get what we work with what we got. That's what she said.
That's right. So you're saying that you loved it, is what you're saying.
I absolutely loved it, and I had so much fun watching it and rewatching it, and not just because of Chris Hemsworth. I promise you.
Not just because of the short-haired Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get back to Brooke. I don't want to let Brooke off the hook here.
Right.
Because for somebody who hated a film, it was going to graciously give it a 1.5. How is it the second viewing? Why did you enjoy it so much more? Why different now?
Okay, so the first time, I guess I was high. I don't know. I guess so. And I was just like, this movie's lame. So, like, falling asleep during it. And I just didn't like the storyline. I was just like, zombies, blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, no. But then the second time watching it, which was today, was my second time watching it. I was like, oh, this is really good. Maybe because my state of mind was better, I guess.
And you are so much more mature now, which makes a lot of sense. I tell you what, I agree with Carly on the tropes is that, and again, they set it up in such a way where, first of all, Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins, they make this goddamn film. They make it. And like that second level of genre play, like them being the manipulators of this, basically what it boils down to is a virgin sacrifice at the end of the day to keep the old gods asleep, to appease them. And the fact that this works as a cabin in the woods movie and like a typical slasher, final girl movie, and then like a sci-fi movie, and then like this kind of obscure occult movie, man. And again, the comedy is there. Yeah, and the comedy is there. And I think why the comedy works, because I was thinking about this in terms of other comedy horror, like Scary Movie and things like that, where it's really over the top, just funny. And after a period of time, like sometimes those jokes are going to get old in terms of like watching it 10 years later. It's like that really doesn't hold as well. But because the comedy is so deadpan, and because the comedy is so earnest, like it's not meant to be comedy. It's meant to be like, hey, this is just our jobs. We're working our office life. Oh, we're taking bets. We're seeing who gets the winning pool. That type of stuff like works all the time. And the fact that they were just like so, blasé about the jobs they had. Now they're in a competition with the Swedes and the Germans and the Japanese, and everybody else is doing the same thing, which I think is even more amazing. Is that this is not just the cabin in the woods in northwestern U.S. It's like that this was happening around the world at the same time to keep all the old gods sleeping. I think it's just like it's got so much mythos to it that we don't even ever see. So I think on that it plays well in so many of the genres I love. That's
yes. And Amy Acker, who worked in chemistry, she did a fantastic job too. She helped a lot with some of those scenes where they made the whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just like it when Sigourney Weaver came out. I was not expecting that. I forgot she was in the movie, and I was just like, "Oh, okay."
Which we are okay to give away that little Easter egg, because it has been 13 years. So if you didn't realize Sigourney was in this movie by now, then that's on you.
It's been 13 years.
Yeah, this was 2011, 2012 movies, and it's 2024. So yeah, it's been a while.
Ouch. It hurts.
You know what? But it all works out. I mean, our young Chris Hemsworth, a little babe in arms in this film. And I will let you know, Carly, because of you and this film, I went ahead and watched the what is it? Red Dawn remake.
Yes.
Also with Chris Hemsworth. Because I'm like, I gotta watch that and see how that like held up versus the old one. So yeah, I'm all into like reboots because of you. So thank you.
You're welcome. You are so very welcome.
I appreciate you for just being
here.
But with that, let's dig in deeper and find out what were our favorites. Now, off air, Miss Brooke said to me, I want to share 2 favorites, and we're going to let her have that moment.
Oh, man, you just put me on blast. Now I forgot my 2 favorites.
Oh, no.
This is live television, y'all. This is how it works.
That's how it works.
So whenever Chris Hemsworth is on the bike and he runs into the screen, that was one of my favorite parts. Because you see his body just... I'm sorry, Carly. you see his body just smashing down, and that was one of my favorites. And then my second favorite is at the end when I realized no one is alive, like no one's making it out alive. I like that part. Yeah. So everybody dies.
But they play it off so well, like the 2 of them together. It was in the video montage clip. The 2 of them sitting on the steps, all bloodied up. And like the fact say, hey, I really would have liked to see the gods come up from the earth, man. That would be really cool if we would have survived. And I think it's just like they are the heroes because they sacrifice themselves willingly, knowingly.
Mm-hmm.
But ironically, they did it just to bring down the institution.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't save the world. They destroyed the world.
Said, they destroyed the man.
No, they destroyed the world because all these gods are going to come up from below and make hell on earth. But they're basically like, listen, we obviously got it wrong. We'll just let somebody else pick the pieces up, and maybe it'll be a better society, not doing this crap that we're enduring. I want to say, yes, I agree with that, Brooke, completely. I also like when they came down the elevator and they got to see the menagerie of all the different creatures and critters and monsters and ghouls that they could have gotten had they selected them, which I think is even more amazing because we hear them talk about like, well, they have to select it. They don't select anything. They don't pick anything up. Then they're obviously all pure and nothing's going to happen. But she read from the diary and she got to pick the horrors, the hillbilly zombies. But yet we also got to see some of the things in that basement of the menagerie that we only see when they go down below. So the masks, we got to see the people that were kind of like the strangers masks or the purge masks. So we got to see a lot of cool things that you knew they had to put it in the basement for them to like look at. But like they put so much effort in without even knowing that, that little thing that Chris Hemsworth was playing with, the puzzle sphere, like what it equated to had he selected it, or the conch shell in the mer person. I mean, first of all, that mer person, fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think it worked on so many levels, and like we just saw just pieces of like the complexity of everything that was there.
Yeah.
What about you, Carly?
Well, one of my favorite parts is when they've got that circle. I don't know if they're from China or Japan, of those little girls that beat the whole game. And then you've got Bradley and his sidekick going, damn. That's one of them. Another one is sadly when Chris did. I got sad, but I really liked that.
I mean, because it was so heroic, and like he really was sitting on top of those bars, and then that just straight down. It was like watching Pinko. Was it Plinko?
Yeah.
So,
and the creepy gas station guy. The creepy gas station guy.
No, he was awesome. He was really awesome. I think this, like I said, this movie is got so much more behind the scenes than it does on camera.
Yes,
but yet it like was so like what's what I'm looking for. It honored all the tropes. It honored almost like, hey, listen, everybody, this is why all horror movies happen. Cabin in the Woods horror, because we've been doing this for years. to keep the gods sleeping. So it was almost like every movie before this, like Evil Dead or like any Cabin in the Woods movie, was like, oh yeah, it's because that Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford were downstairs, manipulating it all for all our enjoyment all these years. Yeah, that's why there's a Jason.
Turn on the pheromones.
Yes. And I like how it was too hot there for a minute, is that she wasn't going to like undo her shirt. So they lowered the temperature. Oh, fantastic. Oh yeah, it's too cold. So they warmed it up. Right.
Yep.
So I loved it. I was like, it just had such inside jokes. But they were just like so important to the narrative of like what was happening. I mean, it just
like the hair dye making, her dumb.
Right.
Because she was pre-med. Right. She was a smart cookie.
Which answers so many of my questions about like, so it's not just teenagers and hormones in the woods. It's because they've all got bad hair dye with poison in it.
And someone's pumping in those pheromones.
Makes so much sense though.
And everybody's gathered around to watch it.
Yeah.
But only until they pick
those
something.
Zombies, though. Those zombies.
Well, what about those zombies, Brooke? Tell us about those zombies. They were very special zombies.
Yeah,
they were insane. I don't think I would have survived in that with those zombies. Like they tried to kill them.
They weren't just zombies, though. I mean, as we learned from the pool, the person who picked zombies lost because they were backwoods tortured zombies.
Tortured
zombies. They have whole different things. Which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, how come I didn't win the pool? Oh, because you only pick zombies. Yeah, they were maniacal. I really love that bear trap on the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that is a hell of a weapon to be thrown at somebody. I was kind of hoping somebody would get it right in the face, but can't have everything.
No, but it was interesting when I was just waiting for it to come back and smack him in the head when he was doing this number, but Zombie had his cool going, so he didn't.
I mean, really, were they zombies or just undead? I think they're more undead.
Undead,
right? I mean, because they weren't just. They were able to wield tools and be like proficient. So I don't think they're like. I mean, they're really a little more diabolical than that. So I can understand why the person was zombie.
Torture zombies.
Because they were a whole different thing. So,
and the coffee mug bong. That was amazing. I was like.
And the fact that he figured it out. It's like, how is he figuring it out? We like doped him up so badly on these
the dope made him immune.
Smart. It makes you think.
Which I also thought was a very cool twist. It's like everybody did the opposite. The athletic but full scholarship guy turns into just a big brute. Like you said, the girl turns the pre-med turns into a bimbo. I mean, the smart guy still stayed smart, though, right? He was kind of last second.
Yeah, he did stay smart.
Yeah. So I think maybe they had to take out the biggest threats. I don't know. But it was funny how not everybody, most people did the opposite. And it reminded me of another film we had watched where I always thought it was funny that the stoners were like the most like on top of things. Like they knew what was up. It was like, hey man, it's like they're out of the box thinking, made them think the right thing was happening versus all the rational people. So I did like that about it. But with that, ladies, let us go to the next segment. How do we rate this film?
All right,
Carly, it was yours. It's your film, so you have
that means I go
full
last.
Control.
Yeah,
well, it just means you have full control. You could go first if you want to.
No, that's okay. I will go last, but we were going to start. I want to hear what Brooke is going to rate it now.
Yeah.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah.
A 1.5. No, I'm joking. A 4.8 headless blondes.
Nice.
So sad. Yeah, I have two of them. But I'm so afraid. I'll tell you what. I'll do one, and then I'll do my second one as long as I don't hit one that you did, Carly. So I'm giving this a full-on 5 because it's like a smile fest. It's funny. It's gross. It's so tight. I mean, all the monsters. How many monsters do you need in a film? Freaking amazing. So I give it 5 husband bulges.
That was good.
I never heard it said that way, and it stuck with me.
That was hilarious. There's so many things that just about this movie, and I too am going to give it a 5, a solid 5. Am I on speakerphone?
I got that too. I had that too. Am I still on speakerphone?
Yes.
And I did like how he was like the most neurotic of every character the gas station attendant. Like he was very holier than thou, raining destruction down upon us. I really love that whole conversation. It's just amazing. I'm gonna give you my last one. It's not as cool as the first one, but it's I give it 5 books on Soviet economic structures. Which again, I understand
that she's
left
very behind.
Stupid. It did get left behind, along with the other book I couldn't remember the title for. But the fact that I'm going on vacation with my friends in the woods, so I'm going to bring all these books in case I get bored. I'm like, unfortunately, that sounds like me when I was 20, when I was in college. So very sad. I'm just glad I never got dismembered in the woods.
No kidding.
So
no redneck torture zombies came after you. So you're good.
Thank God. Nor did I get caught behind a honeycomb, somehow, magical sphere.
Right.
Which, if we were that advanced,
it's not caved in.
Well, that just sounds like bureaucracy. I mean, that was amazing. How what? It's open. It's like it just shows you how just typical office management works. Always somebody's dropping the ball. I'm surprised we survived that one.
At first, I thought the security guard messed it up. The black security guard, I thought he messed it up to let them out. But how did it get messed up?
Because the other department
upstairs.
Actually, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we don't know how. They just said nobody called us and it glitched. But it would have been interesting had the security guard been at the underhand of it. But no, we never get an idea of why the people didn't step up. They didn't get the call. I actually have to watch it now specifically a third time just to see if there was something that, hey, call that person, and then that person never called the department. Interesting.
I thought it was because it came from upstairs. Because they made a couple references to upstairs and then the red phone ringing and turn the music off.
You just turn the music off.
Well, I mean, but then we have the upstairs, which was always the cabin itself was upstairs. And so I'm wondering why our lovely stoner whose blood was it if he survived? If he survived and nobody realized it, why did they pull the lever and his blood flows down? But yet he didn't really have enough blood to do all that.
Well, if you remember, they did get him pretty good. And you see blood spread up this way, so maybe they had just enough.
I guess. I mean, it seems like not enough to have that drippage.
Right. Or maybe it was part zombie.
Maybe. Backwoods zombie.
Backwoods.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So again, there are some holes, just a couple little holes, but they're so minute. And again, it definitely made for better narrative. But I would have loved to know, one, why that call, like Brooke says, why did they not cave in the cave with the explosives? And two, why did Stoner Man kind of give more blood than it looks like he gave? Just saying.
Now it's going to make you want to watch it again.
And that's okay because it's
solid 5.
It's a solid 5. Of course, next time Carly will be like, I rewatched it for the 5th time, and I have to give it a 4.75 because they never actually answered the question. So
No.
Carly,
Yes.
we're getting close to
Yes.
wrapping up, and before we get into who's next, any final words on this film besides never getting out of your Hemsworth phase?
Oh, well, I'm telling you, Marty was fantastic. I loved Marty. He's the stoner with the Stanley Cup bong. It's fantastic. And I loved how he was immune because he smoked so much weed. It was
He
fantastic.
smoked a lot.
He drives. And did you notice when he parks his car, his windows down, and he locks his door?
Oh, yes.
Or
Yes.
locks it.
Yeah, love that. I mean, it was so
I do that.
casual. Yeah.
It's just Marty was fantastic. I think he was my favorite. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
Oh, maybe because he had longer hair, and that's what you're
Yeah.
attracted to. Maybe. I get it. Well, with that said, ladies, we need to find the next classic to review. So I have on my little list of lists, Brooke, you are our next victim.
And mine is Infinity Pool with Mia Goth.
Ooh. Oh, another Mia Goth film. Interesting.
Yeah.
And where can we find said film?
You can find it on Hulu. Yeah,
Okay.
on Hulu, YouTube, and Apple TV.
Okay.
Fantastic.
All right. Just for good housekeeping, we will not be back until the 7th of April because we will be disbanding for next week for other events. And then following week is Easter. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yes. So we got lots of things coming up. So unfortunately, we won't be back till April 7th, but then we will be back to see you all. So with that, ladies, I give you all my love. And we also, look at you, Carly. You're getting so good. You're both getting so good. And we do miss Ashley terribly.
Yes, we do.
We wish she would just clone herself so we can get her 24/7. But unfortunately, that technology only exists with sheep. So.
Shit.
I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe the government's got more going on. Just like in the cabin in the woods. You never know.
It could be. Maybe that's where all the movies are coming from. Who knows?
the government is making all our films.
Right.
I mean, I'll take it. As long as they keep pumping out good things, I'm okay with it. So, all right, ladies. So good night to you all. So goodbye, Miss.
Good night.
And goodbye, Miss Carly. And thank you so much for joining us again this week for another Talk Horror to Me. We enjoy having you here. And as always, we are here to scare you later.